Hello, 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 good people, and welcome to Happy Healthy Whole with Sharia Farmer. I am Sharia, and today I'm talking emotional intelligence. I was recently on a panel talking about conversations and the difficulties of having some difficult conversations when it comes to leadership and supervision. And so, one of the things that I mentioned was emotional intelligence, and I really thought about it. As a video for us as Black women related to how we can manage, navigate, and think about not only our own emotional intelligence, but understanding the importance of it in our relationships and our self improvement, as well as our community improvement. And so I think I wanted to kind of just bring up what emotional intelligence is, but from the perspective of not from a leader, but from the perspective of self guidance and learning and growth and development for yourself. And so I wanted to go ahead and give a few tips and then I'm going to get out of here. So the first tip is when it comes to, I guess I should define emotional intelligence in a sense. Emotional intelligence is being able to not just navigate oneself, but also understand the importance of having empathy and social awareness of others. And so really when we think about emotional intelligence, there's four elements that are under it. There is the self-awareness, self-management, and then there's the empathy slash emotional awareness of others, and then the emotional management of others. And so understanding that and how important that is in just relationships in general has been one of the ways that I've been able to navigate life in a positive way, and also in terms of success when it comes to leadership. But today I want to talk about it from self learning and self development and self growth with how it impacts our community and also how it impacts us individually. So I'm going to give four tips, maybe five tips. The first one is to observe your thoughts and feelings from a neutral perspective. So really understanding that without judgment, you are allowed to have all elements of emotion, good, bad, or indifferent, and really being able to get to a place where you have a neutral perspective so that you can be not just aware of them, but then you can actually learn to respond to them in a way that is about acknowledging that they are real, viewing what they do to you, both mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, and then having a response to developed or ready to be able to deal with that emotion. And so that first one is observe your thoughts and feelings from a neutral perspective. So think no judgment here. The next thing is acknowledge your strengths and weakness without judgment as well. This is important because when we get to that part about self-management, we really want to know that we are being honest with ourselves so that we can know the areas that we need to grow, the areas that we are doing well, and also so that we have true self-reflection that can help us in our relationships and in our community. And so to me, it's important for us to acknowledge our strengths and our weaknesses. So, and without judgment, and you'll hear me say that a lot in our conversations, is that when we can get to a place where there's a neutral perspective versus good or bad, or I'm never going to be good enough, or I'm always going to be in a mess, then it becomes easier for us to resolve and take accountability and also to build on ourselves so that we can help others to build. Change your self-talk to positive affirmations that are also inclusive of your full identity. So this is tip number 3. Really thinking about it from a perspective of what am I thinking? How am I managing these emotions in a way that can help me to be able to acknowledge what's real for me, but also to know what is harming my relationships and those that I might be encountering. And so really creating affirmations that are countering and or reflecting a sense of growth in those areas. So for example, if I struggle with anger, then I'm going to acknowledge that that's a real emotion. I'm going to do it without judgment. And then I'm going to create a countering thought to that negative emotion, which might be something like, I am allowed to release my anger, but I may not harm, but it is not okay for me to harm others. Another statement might be, I can manage my anger without putting it on to others, right? So those are ways for you to be able to change and think about your thinking around that anger while also thinking about the impact that it has on others, because that part is really important. We don't live on an island. And so as much as we are, self-care, self-development, self-this, self-that, we have to be able to know how our behaviors impact others so that we can also learn to manage and navigate relationships that help us to nurture and develop and to grow. The next thing is be patient with yourself. The reality is emotional intelligence takes time and awareness. And just that one first tip about observing your thoughts and emotion can take time to learn how to do, especially when we're talking about doing it from a neutral perspective where you don't have judgment. So really be patient and compassionate to yourself as you are trying to learn how to do these things around emotional intelligence. And last, but definitely not least, focus on changing yourself first before you try changing others. Don't spend half your time trying to tell people what they need to do healthy, so they need to do to be better, when in reality, we all have our own individual work that can also support our community work. Now, one of the ways that I feel is very healthy and happy, or part of our healthy, happy whole, is to be able to model the positive behaviors we want to see in the world. And so part of that is making sure that you focus on in this area when it comes to emotional intelligence, learning that self-awareness, that self-management, and then being able to learn how to have empathy and compassion for others who are also doing the same thing, while also learning how to navigate and manage those social relationships where you're not harming someone else because you are worried about changing them versus helping and supporting them. All right, those are my tips. Really quickly, just wanted to bring it from a leadership to a individual slash community way of looking at emotional intelligence. I'll have a little bit more on these over the next few weeks because I think emotional intelligence, I maybe want to go into a little bit more about what it is and what it's not. All right. Take good care of yourselves. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to our channels, share the videos, and I will talk to you on the other side. Be well.